Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Unfortunate issue, had to restart my entire system. So we are back down to the last hour of the race, hour and 5 minutes left to go. We did have another DNF to add to the list. It is JZ Kuban in the number 311 Cadillac. So now we are down to 7 cars remaining from the 13 that started. So we have lost 6 drivers. As close as we're going to get to that 50%. Hopefully we don't lose any more, as we are indeed down to the final few drivers. There is only 7 drivers remaining, and hopefully we go ahead and continue to stay that way. Hopefully we have no more further retirements, especially because right now we have a battle for the lead of the race. And this has serious championship implications, especially with this being a double points race. So if Mikhail Frokov can go ahead and jump up into the lead of this race off of Antoine Poncet, then he is going to go ahead and take the lead in the Drivers' Championship away from Aslan Tahacho, who is not here today, unfortunately. So in that case, I mean, there's so much to play for here in this championship. 50 points goes to you if you manage to get first place within your class. And then pretty much after that, it goes down. It is 2 times regular F1 scoring. So we'll see if that's going to work. Let's see how that's going to go ahead and change things up here. I mean, it's got serious championship implications for today's race. Because I mean, or actually just overall championship implications, because we are about, this is right around the halfway point of the race, or halfway point of the season, I should say. We're a bit past the halfway point of this particular race, but it is there's still a few races left to go, but this is the big one. If you want to win, if you only can win one race this season, then it would definitely be this one. There's a few other statistics kind of riding on this race as well. If Antoine Poncet does win, he'll be our 4th different race winner in the hypercar category in 4 different races. We've had 3 different winners so far, not counting the prologue. So we'll see if that statistic can stay alive, as Mikhail Frokov, who's trying to chase down the Ferrari up ahead, does get into a little bit of the gravel, as he's trying to chase down that number 51 Ferrari as we get closer to the 1 hour warning here at the Circuit de LSR here in Le Mans, France. We will see how this race is going to play out. There's still so much left to go in this race. There's still so many things left to happen here. I mean, we still have quite a good ways to go. Mark Santos in the pits now. He was a driver that was looking like a favorite to lead the championship after this one. But he has decided, or he has made a pit stop. Maybe this is an undercut. We know the undercut has been super duper strong here at Le Mans so far. So it'll be really curious to see if this is a pit stop that could carry the number 36 Alpine all the way to the end. We do not know yet. I mean, he's not under any threat from Antonio Mendoza. Not under any threat there from the American driver in the American car. He's got quite the gap away. Quite a good ways to go if he wants to catch up to Santos there. Taking a look at the gap between these drivers. It is about 98 seconds away between, it's actually over a lap from himself and the car up ahead. But once again, it's the battle for the lead of this race. It is the battle for first place overall. And then I think the winner of this, I mean, actually even at this stage, I think Frokov is in a good enough spot to take the lead in the Drivers' Championship, barring any extra penalties that may come his way. I don't know of any, because I had a pretty quiet race, but we all know that racing does tend to happen. I'm sure somebody may say that there will be a penalty. I'm sure there's going to be at least one penalty that will happen after the end of this race. I mean, it's a 2.5 hour race, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be at least one incident report that will have to be filed. But yeah, we'll just have to see how everything does play out. In about 30 seconds from now, we will have our 1 hour left to go here at LSR. Got now about 20 seconds until that point, and then we are on to the final hour left of racing here. And these drivers are gonna they're gonna give it their all. Oh, looks like a little bit of contact possibly between the BMW and the Ferrari. And they're both gonna come into the pits. Once again, these two cars are like peanut butter and jelly, just straight inseparable as we officially do hit that 1 hour remaining moniker. Oh, that's a very crooked pit, so that might actually hurt Mikhail Frokov in the long run. It might hurt him there in the long run here. We'll see if he does get ahead of Ponset. But the driver to really kind of pay attention to, because of how long these pit stops are, is Mark Santos. We know Mark Santos, the former Toyota driver, and a driver who still has the possibility of taking the lead in the Drivers' Championship. He's currently second in the Drivers' Championship. So we will see if that's going to change, and see if he's going to make any position changes. I mean, look how close those two are. Those two cars are like a centimeter apart. And both the cars are going to peel out now, which is how close they are. And actually, Frokov will get the lead from the pit stops. So Mikhail Frokov does get the lead of this race from the pits. And I think the Alpine is going to be close. Oh, but the Alpine's not close enough to retake the lead, as the two rivals will go ahead. And Andre Ferreira is out as well. Andre Ferreira is out of this race. And then there were six drivers left in this competition. We have lost 7 drivers now, and then we are down to 6. And if these two keep battling, we might lose some. We might lose another. We might be down to 5 drivers left in this race if these two aren't careful. It looks like Antoine Ponset is going to try to make the move down the Mulsanne Straight. He's got the speed. He's got the move down the first leg of the Mulsanne Straight. He is going to go ahead and retake the lead of this race after being jumped into the pits. And now he's going to go ahead and keep it. Now he's going through the chicane to begin the second half of this Mulsanne Straight. But we got to be careful that drivers do not get a penalty for track limits too. Because, I mean, as this race wears on, drivers are going to get so tired. They're going to be so exhausted. They're going to be ready to call it. But we'll just see if the reigning world champion of Mikhail Frokov can try to catch up to this Ferrari up ahead. We know that BMW is really strong on straights. We've seen it before. We've just seen that car just pull away on straights, like it's in a different category sometimes. But it looks like in this case, Ponset is the car that's in the different category, just pulling away here on the Mulsanne Straights. Frokov cannot get close enough to go ahead and make that difference. Just not quite enough to see if he can go ahead and try to gain this lead. Although I think it's still going to survive to gain that driver's lead in the championship, because Ponset has only 19 points to his name, while Tahacho has 80.5. So that is worth noting here in this championship as well. It is definitely something worth noting that, I mean, the championship, I mean, we're pretty much, this is the kind of the tipping point. Actually, technically next week is the tipping point, the next round at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas at COTA. That's going to be the official seesaw point, as then we begin the second half of the championship. We have 5 more races left to go after this, but this is the big one. This is the big points paying race. So this has massive, massive implications. As we're going to go ahead and take a look, we're going to switch things up to the gap to the next car up ahead. And it's going to go ahead and break OBS on my end again. But hopefully everything is still working for you guys on stream. I think it is. Oh, okay, never mind. That was a bit of a break there, unfortunately. It did show a car in the pits, but that is nothing to worry about. But yeah, just taking a look at the gap here. It is... Yeah, so we've had 7 different DNFs. We are down to 6 cars left. It is Mikhail Frokov, who is in lead of this race, followed by Antoine Ponset, who's serving a drive-through penalty. Oh no, so that's his race done and dusted. So now Mikhail Frokov really could coast to the end of this race if he really wanted to. Because Santos is 14 seconds off. He is 14 seconds behind, so I mean Frokov could really just walk away with this race. After Ponce got the drive-through penalty, also granted the stewards are still going to have some work to do, I'm sure. There's probably going to be at least one incident report as the sun begins to rise here in the French countryside. And so we're going to go ahead and just continue on with the race. I know Antoine Ponset's really going to be unhappy about that one. But we have 2 GT cars left. We have Philip Smolka, and then the car you're on board with now of Nico Perez. Nico Perez is the current championship leader in that GT3 category. That's going to do wonders for his position if he could win this race and get that 50 points to his name. And I mean, for some of the drivers, that 50 points is effectively double the amount of points. And for Nico Perez, it is almost double the points. He's at 60.5 right now, and if he wins this race, he'll be at 110.5. As we see a bit of a light flash battle between Mikhail Frokov and Nico Perez. These two have had a few scuffles here and there, but not too many, because I mean, Mikhail Frokov has pretty much always been in that BMW. Well, Perez was in the Glickenhaus last time, and if you guys know anything about the hypercars in this game, the Glickenhaus is probably one of the least competitive cars in that category, which is unfortunate. It is one of the first hypercars in that category. Starting in the 2021, it was one of the inaugural cars in the hypercar category. It competed against the Toyota, and then the Toyota kind of blew it out of the water because the Toyota is all-wheel drive and hybrid, unlike the aforementioned Glickenhaus. So this is going to be I mean, it's interesting to see those two drivers interact again, but under much different circumstances. We're going to go and do a quick onboard lap with Nico Perez, actually the current leader for the GT3 class, and we will be right back. And that was a big spin there for Nico Perez. And that's going to allow Philip Smoke to really start catching up here. As that time gap is really going to come down a bit, but still not a lot. Still not a lot of time though. I mean, 15 minutes left on the track. But yeah, I mean, this field is really spread out a bit, so there's really not too many battles going on here at the moment. But that was a big moment there for Nico Perez, and he's lucky that he didn't DNF. Because at that point, we would have been down to our last remaining GT3 car, which is less than ideal, but less than ideal, but sometimes it just happens when it comes to racing. As we are down to 5 cars on the track remaining. As Mark Santos is going to go and try to get past the Ferrari of Nico Perez. This will just be GT3 traffic being passed up. So no points will be on the line for this. Loading off the throttle there, about to go into the corner. Nico Perez doing the right thing, pulling off the side and letting the Alpine through. Because he indubitably would have been getting hit with a blue flag to let the faster hypercar go through. And this has just been, I mean, this has really just been a race of survival. I mean, yeah, we've had some really good on-track battles, but now at this stage of the race, it's just survival. You got to get down to the last. Yeah, I mean, you got to get down to that checkered flag. And that is exactly what needs to happen for these drivers. They got to get to the checkered flag. They got to survive. I mean, the field is very spread out, so you're really not going to be fighting for a lot of these positions at this current stage, but it's just really, really bizarre to see a moment like that, especially under no pressure. I just wonder if the tires are going on that Ferrari. Just really, really unsure about that. I mean, it's possible. I mean, granted, some of these drivers are, because, well, right now in the United States on the Eastern Standard Time, it is only 2:03 p.m. But for some of these drivers, it's, I mean, we have drivers from all across the globe, as you can see. I mean, we have, I mean, I would just go through, actually, we'll do a nation check real quick just to see where everybody's from here. We got Mikkel Frokov, who is from Denmark. The Danish driver currently, he was the champion last season, and he's looking like he's about to lead the championship now after this race, possibly. And then we have the Frenchman of Antoine Poncet. And then we have Mark Santos, the Swiss driver. Antonio Mendoza, the American, as he gets past Nico Perez. Looks like a little bit of a moment there for the Dutch driver. Nico Perez having a bit of a moment, considering himself and the Cadillac that just raced on through. And then Philip Smokel, the driver from Croatia. At least that is what his nation flag represents. The Croatian driver currently trying to get some very solid results. He could have been in the lead of this GT3 championship. He's only 10 points behind, but after today's race, that gap is going to extend. And then taking a look at the drivers who have DNF, we have, I believe that is the Polish driver of Jacob Kuban. Andre Ferreira is the Portuguese driver. William Stickley is British. Oh no, he's an American driver, apologize. And then we have Daniel Krebs, who is German. Jonah DeLucia, who is American. Lucas Nielsen, who is Norwegian. And then Marco Bavona, who is Italian. So we have a lot of different drivers here. And so these drivers are driving at several different times of the day, at least because of the time zones. So while, yes, it is only about 2 p.m. here in the United States, even some parts of the United States, it may only be like, it may actually just be noon right now for some parts of the U.S., maybe even earlier, maybe it's 1 for some parts of the U.S. Time zones are just such an interesting thing. Some of these drivers may be racing at the crack of dawn. Like, just as the sun is rising here in France, the sun may be actually rising through their bedrooms or through their simulator rooms, wherever they are driving from. The real life sun may be going through their windows. So, I mean, I know some of these drivers are probably absolutely tired, and they are ready for the last 45 minutes of this race to conclude. And I mean, it's a long race for these drivers. I mean, going a little under 2.5 hours straight without a break, it is just so tough. Because you got to keep full concentration, full force. I mean, you get a little bit of a reprieve from the pit stops, but yeah, I mean, you get about maybe 30 seconds of a reprieve when you go into the pit box, but it's not a lot. So, much respect for all of these drivers wherever they may be driving from, and much respect and much love to all of you wherever you guys may be watching from. Thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying the stream. I know we've had some tech problems here today. I do apologize for that. We'll be trying to get those resolved for the next round at the Circuit of the Americas. But we'll just have to go ahead and just do what we can and do the best with what we have. And hopefully next round will be tech gremlin free, because I know the last 2 rounds have been pretty well plagued with the tech issues, but hopefully that is behind us now, and hopefully we can just continue to have a fantastic time and watch these very talented drivers continue to go ahead and endure. 44 minutes left to go of this race. Once again, your class leaders are Mikhail Frokov and Nico Perez. One of them is currently a championship leader with Nico Perez, and the other one is likely to be a championship leader after this one's all said and done. But we still have 5 races to go after this. The races we have in the calendar, we have Le Mans, Coda, Interlagos, Portimao, and then we wrap up at Fuji. What I want to do is go into Discord and just chat it out. I mean, unless there may be a penalty applied somewhere, then I'm sure they'll definitely want to voice their opinions. But for the most part, these drivers are just wanting to cool off and just... I mean, that's pretty much it. They just really just want to cool off. I mean, especially after, like... If it's a very particularly frustrating incident as well, some of these drivers are just going to want to go ahead and just, you know, go de-stress. You know, go eat food, go watch a movie, go watch the rerun of the Miami F1 Sprint. So there's a lot of things. As we actually do see Antonio Mendoza making a pit stop. He's about to come out of the pits now. Curious to see where he is going to go. I mean, he's still a lap down from the other hypercars, so I mean, it's no real surprise there. But yeah, this field is just really spread out now. So I mean, the smallest gap right now is between Ponset and Santos, which is about a little under 22 seconds apart from these drivers. Once again, if you guys have any onboard requests, go ahead and pop it into the chat, and I will do an onboard lap with that driver at no cost at all. All it requires is for you to just go ahead and just let me know what driver you'd like me to do an onboard with, and we will do that. Hopefully you guys have been having a fantastic day so far. I know it's been a day, especially if you are a fan of Formula One. I know it's been kind of a rough day if you are a Mercedes or Red Bull fan, or if you're an Antonelli fan, with poor Kimi Antonelli getting a drive-through earlier on. Sorry if that's any spoilers, but yeah, so I know it's a pretty big day for racing, because I know there's a 4-hour race at the Paul Ricard circuit that's going on, or at least qualifying was going on. Not sure what the actual race was. F1 going on earlier on today. Formula E had a race where they raced at Monaco, and I think IndyCar had some practice sessions for Barber today. So a pretty action-packed Saturday if you're a fan of racing, and I'm glad to be able to bring you some esports racing here on Le Mans Ultimate, so you get your little fix of endurance racing while waiting for the next real-life endurance race. Or hopefully you're just a fan of how LSR is running their Le Mans Ultimate Series and all the action that you see here. Because there has been some really solid racing here. I mean, I know right now everybody's really far spread out, and we don't have a lot of drivers currently left on track. We only have, actually, we have 6 drivers left on track still, so not a lot remaining, but hopefully you guys are still enjoying it. And follow those, the engine noises are usually pretty solid, as you hear a little bit of the V6 from this Ferrari. As it goes ahead and makes corner exit, and just a little bit up ahead you can hear the onboard of this beautiful Cadillac running that NASCAR V8. So, I mean, there's a lot to love about racing. Even if there isn't a lot of action happening out on track, a lot of stuff that may be super visual or super pleasant to the eyes. There is also the massive Cadillac livery reveal that's going to happen at some point today for Formula One. So, I'm sure some of you guys like Formula One. I mean, if you like Formula One, then stick around, because in a few hours' time, it'll be probably about an hour and a half, roughly, maybe a little over an hour after this race wraps up. We do have F1 from our F1 division. Group 1 will be racing at the Circuit of the Americas. For F1, it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys will pop in. Neo Citron will be the commentator for that race. And then tomorrow we have F1 Groups 2 and 3 with Vacant commentating in Group 2. And then JK, Gabby, and Owen commentating for Group 3. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those races play out, because I know there's some really excellent racing that happens there in our F1 division. So make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe and go check that out. And you can check out some of the other Le Mans Ultimate races after you're done watching this one. Or if we have any tech issues and need any intermissions, you can watch the older Le Mans Ultimate races in the meantime and kind of get caught up if you are new here. So, as the sun is back here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, the crews are ready for some breakfast, I'm sure. I mean, these drivers have been, I mean, it must feel like taking a massive road trip on the highway now for a lot of these drivers. Just on empty roads, not a lot, no cars really ahead, no cars really behind. Everybody is just kind of just cruising at this point, you know. Yeah, just trying to get to the end, try not to make a mistake that could cause them to lose a position. I mean, yeah, not much more else to say on that. I mean, I'm sure this kind of drive though is relaxing. I mean, at that point, you could just crank up the Spotify, listen to some jams, and a couple of ads if you're like me who doesn't pay for premium. But I mean, actually, here's a fun question for chat. If you guys are racing in a race like this and you literally have nobody around you, and you're just kind of phasing in and out, or you're trying to maybe stay awake if it's in the late hours, what song would you listen to in order to kind of get your blood pumping, you know, get your heart racing, and get into the groove? Personally, for me, I would probably pick, oh, I have a lot of songs I could use. Honestly, any song from any Hot Wheels game would probably be my go-to. Or even like Hot Wheels Acceleracers, if anyone still remembers that series happened. Still wish they'd bring it back. Like I know Antoine Ponce is wishing he could bring back the lead for this race here and try to get those 50 points. But yeah, what song do you guys vibe to whenever you guys are racing? Whether it's practice, whether it's in the race itself, whether you're racing just in a casual online lobby, offline lobby, just what do you guys vibe to whenever you're racing? While we go in and wait for those answers in chat, we're going to go ahead and vibe to the V6 of this Ferrari. We'll be back. Alright, so that was a little bit of an onboard lap there with Antoine Ponce in that Ferrari. I did hear quite a bit of tire screeching from him, so we know the tire life must be kind of running low. So we know that, I mean, we're about to be in the last 30 minutes of this race, so probably going to be an additional 7 minutes of this race. And I apologize if you hear that, because the rain has really picked up where I am at the moment. So if you guys do hear some rain, I do apologize for that. The rain really has picked up here in North Florida where I'm at the moment. So yeah, once again, do apologize for if you guys hear some rain in the background. I mean, if these drivers heard rain right now, I'm sure some of them may be fighting to stay awake. I mean, the 6 drivers left, they need all the focus that they can have as we come down to close to the final half hour of racing. And these drivers have just been, I mean, they're troopers, man. I gotta give so much respect to these drivers. They have just been troopers throughout. And I mean, it is down to, it is now 30 minutes remaining, well, 30 minutes and 30 seconds. And it has just been, I mean, now this is really just a race of survival. I mean, you can see all these cars in the pit lane, all the cars that did not survive to the end of this race here. 6 cars that are enduring. And I mean, these drivers are going to be absolutely dead tired by the time. They're probably going to all either just go to sleep or just take a massive nap. 30 minutes remaining now. Officially, we are down to the final 30 minutes of the race here. As we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and give a check on who's still around with us. It is Mikhail Frokov currently leading this race and in the prime position to take the Drivers' Championship lead at the end of this with that 50-point bonus he's going to go ahead and get for winning here at Le Mans. BMW is going to go ahead and take back-to-back wins here and back-to-back seasons at Le Mans, although it won't be Mikhail Frokov getting the back-to-back wins. The other driver was Rovan Machete in Season 1, who did get that race win here at Le Mans a few months ago. And then we have Antoine Ponce, who at one stage was looking very likely to be our 4th race winner in 4 races in the hypercar category. Go ahead and compete too. And then we have Mark Santos, another favorite to take the Drivers' Championship, since the current championship leader Aslan Tahacho is not here for today's race. And then we have the final remaining hypercar of Antonio Mendoza, the American Indy number 2 Cadillac, the blue Chip Ganassi car. And then we have Nico Perez, who is currently in the lead of the championship for the GT3 category, looking to extend that lead. He will go ahead and extend his lead by an additional 50 points, which is almost double his current points tally. And then we have Philip Smolka, currently P2 in the Drivers' Championship, who has just had a pretty quiet race. I mean, he had some moment, and at some points he was really pulling away from the rest of the field, looking very likely to even win this race in his category at some points, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case at this stage. He is currently 98 seconds away from the car up ahead, over a minute and 38 seconds away. So unless Nico Perez has a moment, then that is unlikely to be the case. And then the retirees from this race, we've had Marco Pavona and Lucas Nielsen retiring right around the same point. They are 32 and 31 laps down respectively, followed by Jonah DeLucia, who had a moment earlier, 27 laps down. Followed by Daniel Krebs, 21 laps down. William Stickley, 15 laps down. Andre Ferreira, 7 laps down. And Jacob Kuban, 12 laps down. Those are our 7 retirements here. We started off at 13 drivers. We are down to 6. And hopefully we have 6 when we cross the finish line. Hopefully we do not lose any other drivers, but all these drivers that are surviving are going to go ahead and they're going to get a bunch of points from today's race. Some of them will get more points in this race for finishing in P4 than they would have for winning in a 90-minute race, as we see Antonio Mendoza getting ahead of fellow Smoker there. That is lapped GT3 traffic, so that is once again not going to be any concern. And it is, I mean, the sun is back up, so it's going to be a little bit easier on the eyes to go ahead and kind of see where you're going. Because I know some drivers really don't drive too well at the night. Some drivers really just do not drive super well at the night, so I'm sure if we had any of those drivers, although I think if we had some of those drivers, they might have had the bright red DNF next to their name. As we're going to go ahead and check in on some of our other cars here. And, I mean, yeah, this race is really spread out now. So, while we have such a spread out grid at the moment, we're going to go and talk about the rest of the calendar. We are headed to the Circuit of the Americas next time out. And that is going to be a fun race. It's one of my personal favorite tracks. 60 minutes of COTA. So that is going to be just a regular 1x point paying race. So points for the top 10 in each category. F1 scoring 25 points for first, 18 for second, 15 for third, and then it goes all the way down to 1 point for P10 with the well, I guess now like F1 there's no fastest lap point anymore, so that's not of any concern. And then next we go to the 90 minutes of Interlagos, a new track that we are including for this season. So it is 1.5 times points there. And then we head to 60 minutes of Portimao, which is a massive throwback. It is making its points paying debut, but it was the prologue and the first ever race that we have run here for Le Mans Ultimate here at Lightning Speed Racing. And it was the first time I actually, well, technically second time I actually commentated for LSR. First time was during Season 9 Japan for their F1 division. I made a cameo appearance and commentated for that one. And then, yeah, pretty much I've been here for pretty much a majority of the other races with the exception of Sebring, the 100 minutes of Sebring. And then from Interlagos we go to the 60 minutes of Portimao, making his debut like I mentioned earlier. And then, once again, for the season finale, it is the 90 minutes of Fuji Speedway. So, it's going to be a really action-packed season. Once again, your leaders are Mikhail Frokov and Nico Perez. I mean, these two have really just pulled away from their respective opponents now. Nico Perez, a staggering 96 seconds away from Philip Smolka. Over a minute and a half away. And then we have Mikhail Frokov, who is 27 seconds ahead of this man right here, Antoine Ponset, in that Ferrari. Alright, so actually, let's see. Oh, Mark Santos having a little bit of a slide coming through these corners here in that number 36 Alpine. I mean, he's had a really strong season. Currently second place in the championship, likely to fall to, well, he'll probably still remain second, but he will jump ahead of current championship leader Aslan Tahacho, and then Mikhail Frokov will go ahead and take his spot at the top of the leaderboard. But once again, we still have 5 races left to go after this race concludes. But this is the big points paying race, so the only double points race here. So let's see if any drivers still survive. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and actually do a, once we go ahead and, actually let's go ahead and try to get an onboard lap with somebody who is about to start a lap. Actually, let's do some on board with Antonio Mendoza in the Cadillac. We will be right back. Now we've been on board with the number 2 Cadillac of Antonio Mendoza for a bit. And you can just hear the tires kind of screeching there. He's been fighting this car, trying to keep it on the track. As now, now we're down to less than 20 minutes left to go. And Nico Perez is actually making a pit stop now. He's probably going to go ahead and do his final stop of the race. Go ahead and get topped off on fuel and go ahead and get ready to get back out there. He'll still have a very sizable gap to Philip Smolka. And he's out of the pits. He is Nico Perez, current race leader at the moment, is out of the pit box. And our other championship leader is still making his rounds here. Trying to go ahead and get to the end of the race himself, so it's probably gonna be, let's go and see if I can find the best lap of everyone so far. Yeah, so it's probably gonna be another about 5 laps maybe for each driver, maybe 4. But we see Mikhail Frokov actually making a pit stop here. I wonder how that's going to change the dynamic of this race. Frokov is going to come into the pits. He overshoots his pit box a bit, so that's going to cost him a bit of time. As Ponset is going to go and try to... Oh, Ponset's making a pit stop too, so, I mean, it's really not going to benefit him any, but maybe... yeah, no, I think... I don't think any positions on this track are really going to change. The gaps will change, but I think that's about it. And Ponset... Ponset actually is bumping the BMW a bit because of the game putting him in the correct pit box. Ponset was trying to give him space here, but now it looks like the two just had a very tender moment there in the pit box, which is not ideal, especially if you're trying to race. Ponset definitely would have been not super happy about that, and maybe neither will Mikhail, but so far it is still Mikhail Frokov from Antoine Ponset, Mark Santos, and Antonio Mendoza, and then our 2 GT3 cars are Nico Perez and Philip Smolka, which that gap did drop down by half to Philip Smolka. Now we're about to come down to the final 15 minutes left of the race itself. And then we'll be done here at the Circuit de LSR. It's going to be probably about 3 laps remaining for all of these drivers here. About 3 laps roughly left to go here. More or less depending on your current track position. But, I mean, these drivers have done so many laps. Let's take a look now at just how many laps our leaders have done. So, they have done close to 40 laps around this circuit, with only less than 15 minutes left to go now. So we are down to 14 minutes and 43 seconds now till the end of this race here at the Circuit de LSR. The gap did close up quite considerably from Mikhail Frokov to Antoine Ponset, but we know these tires are going to be cold. They're going to have not nearly as much grip as they normally would, but they're still going to do what they can to bring those tires into temp and then just go flat out from there, because I'm sure they've put just enough fuel to go ahead and get themselves to the end of this race. So I don't think we'll be seeing any more pit stops, at least from this group. I think Mendoza and Santos might be the only cars left to make a pit stop, maybe Smolka. But I know Perez, Frokov, and Ponset do not need to pit again for the duration of the race, unless one of them gets a drive-through penalty, which is what happened to Ponset actually earlier on, where he got what appeared to be a drive-through penalty, which put him down quite a few positions. Now put him down into 2nd place when he was comfortably in the lead. But we will see. It just takes one singular mistake for this whole race to be flipped up on its head. So we'll see if that's going to be the case here. A 45-second gap between Philip Smolka and Nico Perez. A 47-second gap from Antoine Ponset, from Mark Santos to Antoine Ponset. 6-second gap, 6.5-second gap from Ponset to Frokov. And then 1 lap between Mendoza and Santos. We've had quite a few DNFs here in this race, 7 to be exact. We are down to 6 drivers in this race. So now it's just a matter of getting to that checkered flag, watching that clock. I mean, I'm sure for some of these drivers, their eyelids are getting heavy, especially for some of these drivers where it is pretty early in the morning for them now. I would imagine that some of these drivers on the European continent, especially if you're on the Asian or Oceanic continents, it's going to be probably like at the crack of dawn for some of those drivers. So I'm sure like they're getting tired, their focus may be slipping. Sure, some of them, their legs are probably sore from pressing the pedals, their hands are sore from the steering wheel and all the force feedback. I mean, this is a prime level workout for all these drivers. I mean, even if you're a driver that's braving it out on a controller, I mean, yeah, if you're just on a controller, then you definitely have I mean, you don't have to do as much leg work, but I mean, I know your arms are still going to be tired. Your eyes are going to be on fire right now, just like Nico Perez's pace at the moment. Steadily pulling away. He's on fresher tires though, so that makes things definitely a lot easier. You could just see how many bugs are splattered on the windshield of that Ferrari 296 GT3. I mean, I'm sure having some window washer fluid would be seriously nice right about now, as we get closer and closer to the end of this 2.4 hour long race at the Circuit de LSR in Le Mans, France. I mean, it's 8 miles around, 13 kilometers, which I think all these drivers, with the exception of Mendoza, uses kilometers, so that's what they'll be tracking more. I mean, these drivers have put in probably close to 1,000 kilometers on these cars from today's race alone. Probably a bit of an exaggeration, but I'm sure for them it feels like this race would have never ended, as we are getting closer and closer to the final 10 minutes of this race here at Lightning Speed Racing. So it'll be right about 3 o'clock by the time we wrap up here. So in about an hour's time from our wrap up, we will have our F1 Group 1 popping in. So go ahead and give them or check them out later on. It'll be on the same channel. And we'll see how it goes, because it'll be at the race that we're actually heading to next for Le Mans Ultimate. They are heading to the Circuit of the Americas. A very tricky and very technical track over in Austin, Texas. The second closest thing, I mean, and it's always really tricky. I mean, getting a win in your home country is always such a special feeling, you know. I mean, granted, it's a virtual circuit. You're still sitting from the comfort of your own home, but just the kind of feeling of the fact that you're at a track that is based in your state, your country, your province, whichever term you're going to use, it always just feels that little bit of extra. I mean, getting a podium here will still be nice. Francois Ponset, he'll effectively double his points tally for certain. Here in this double points, he will get 36 points. So that's going to really be nice. He's got 19 at the moment, so it's really going to be a good improvement in position in the championship for Mr. Ponset here. Antonio Mendoza still, even though he's in the last position, he is the last remaining hypercar, a lap down from the other hypercars. He's still going to score some serious points because he finished in P4. And the same with Philip Smolka and Nico Perez. I mean, these two cars are really going to be happy with the points that they're going to pull away from today. And they're almost making this a 2-horse race in the GT3 category, because these two have really just been back and forth, very, very consistently. I know Andre Ferreira was up into that mix, but after DNFing today's race, I'm sure that's not going to be as prominent. Taking a look at the championship again for GT3. I mean, it's pretty close in the GT3 category, I will say, but after today's race, Philip Smolka and Nico Perez will be in another zip code essentially. Another postal code, if you will. Just in terms of how many points they're going to pull away from today's race and all of their competition not scoring any points. So at this stage of the championship, it really is a 2-horse race for this championship. But for this hypercar category, it's still about a 3 to 4 car race here for the championship. But as always in racing, anything can happen when it comes to racing. Some drivers may get sick and unable to participate. They may have some underlying tech issues that kind of prevent them from competing in a race. Maybe their pedal goes out or their wheel goes out. I've seen it happen before. But drivers are going to need to do everything in their power to score as many points as humanly possible. As we do see Mark Santos getting a little bit over the edge of the track there. Getting a little bit close to track limits there. If he's not careful, he could give himself a very nice and very hefty drive-through penalty, which, I mean, he's not going to lose any positions from that, granted, but it's still going to be less than desirable as Antonio Mendoza is coming into the pits. We'll see how quick this pit stop is for the caddy. Changing the tires out now. And it's pads in the metal. You can hear that V8 just roar to life as it exits the pit lane. And he will be back out on track, probably just trying to get enough to make it to the end so he doesn't get a DSQ from fuel, which would be super unfortunate. Also, shout out to the safety car that hasn't had any use in any of the races we've had so far this season. There has not been the need for a safety car at all. While there is functionality here on my control panel to turn on a safety car, there hasn't been an actual safety car moment or even a full course yellow throughout the entirety of both Season 1 and so far the first half of Season 2, which is such a testament to how talented and how strong these drivers are on the track. And I know their strength may be waning a bit just because it's getting so close to the end. They've been racing for over 2 hours straight. Sometimes actual world endurance racing drivers don't go for that long. Most times they do, but sometimes they don't. But we are down now to the final 5 minutes of racing here at the Circuit de LSR. They're going to get about another lap or two, depending on what part they're on the circuit. It's probably actually going to be 2 laps. And then maybe another one, depending on track positioning by the time they cross the line. But it has been we had some very fantastic battles here at points throughout the race. I mean, the GT cars had some good battles. Andre Ferrari and Nico Perez put on quite the show earlier on in the race, especially once the lights went out and the track was dark. Mikhail Frokov, Antoine Ponce, and Mark Santos had some really solid battles throughout the time, trying to get their grid positions, trying to get to the lead, fighting for the lead, fighting for a spot on the podium. I mean, we've had some really excellent battles here. Now, while granted, during this last hour, while the drivers have really spread super far out, I mean, now it's now mostly just about consistency at the moment. Keeping your head, keeping your cool, but you can't cool off too much because Antoine Ponce has closed that gap quite considerably there. So as we're down to like what is almost for certain the last 2 laps of this race, we might see a battle for the race win overall in the closing moments of this race. It is down to 3.5 minutes now of this race, so they'll definitely get one more lap in. Because so far the fastest lap of this race has been around that 3.5 minute mark. Gonna go and find the exact fastest lap for you. So it is a 3:26.5 from the driver currently in the lead of this race. And the second one is a 3:26.9 from the driver currently in third place. For the GT cars, the fastest time actually does belong to Philip Smoken by a very healthy amount. The second fastest time is a 4:06.009, and Smoka's time is a 4:03.754. So, I mean, he had that pace, but I think it might have been a penalty that might have derailed his race for Philip Smoka, the Croatian driver. But, I mean, they're going to get one more lap after this one. and everything's going to come down to the wire. I mean, I don't think Smolka can make up 35 seconds in the span of 2.5 minutes now. As we close down, we started with 2 hours and 25 minutes. Now we were down to 2 hours and 25 seconds, or 2 minutes and 25 seconds. So it has been a very long race here today. And now it is soon going to be time for the final 2 minutes of this race. And it looks like Antoine Poncet was closing a little bit, but just not enough. Not closing that gap enough to really fight. I mean, it's going to take a mistake now from Frokov for Poncet to have a chance of getting this race win. We're going to have to see how everything is going to play out, as it is the final lap for these drivers here. And it is just going to be such a battle here. They're going to push hard now. Going to try to get this race done and dusted, try to bring it home, bring it across the line. We have been racing for almost 2.5 hours. And now we have less than a minute and a half left on track. Now, Poncet has closed that gap up, but I do not think that's enough considering that BMW's straight line speed. We know that Beamer's speed is very, very good. And it's going to be a strong run down here, down the Mulsanne straight. But that Ferrari is catching, but not by enough. He needs to be catching realistically about probably like 0.3 a second if he really wants to try to catch Mikhail Frokov here, but I just don't think that's happening. I just don't think he's got enough pace. He's catching him, granted, but is it just too little too late for the Ferrari man? And are we going to have our first repeat winner of the season here in Hypercar? And will that be the reigning world champion, Mikhail Frokov? That's the question up at hand here. Down to 20 seconds left to go as they start the second half of the Mulsanne straight. And now it is down to the final 10 seconds left to go, and then it will be the checkered flag will be waved, and the first driver to actually see that checkered flag is the driver currently on your screens. I mean, it's been a dominant drive here in the second half of the race here for the current championship leader in the GT3 category. He doesn't have much long left to go now. The checkered flag is out, and I think these drivers are going to see it very, very soon. Now, the only real race to see who it's going to be, is it going to be for Mikhail Frokov or is it going to be Nico Perez? They're both on similar parts of the track. My fellow co-commentator Peeps is going ahead and giving it his input, saying how fantastic the race was. For those of you who probably did hear him, it is a yellow parakeet that I have nicknamed my co-commentator. He has been here with me throughout the entirety of this race. And I mean, these drivers are pretty much, I mean, this race has been such a grueling battle of endurance for all these drivers. And once again, Poncet is closing that gap, but is it going to be enough to go ahead and usurp Mikhail Frokov from being our race winner here at Le Mans, and going to be back-to-back wins here at Le Mans for BMW? It's going to be a close one for certain. Actually, it is going to be Mikhail Frokov going to be the first one to come across the line. He's only got a few more corners left to navigate. Who's it going to be? Well, I think it's going to be no surprise there. After this last chicane, it's going to be the home stretch now. Mikhail Frokov is a race winner. He is our first repeat winner of the season, and he wins at Le Mans to take the second win in a row for BMW here at this circuit. Antoine Poncet will come home in P2, and it's going to be followed by Mark Santos and Antonio Mendoza. And then we have Nico Perez and Philip Smolka for the GT category. This race has been chaotic, and it's had its peaks and it's had its valleys, but you can't deny that there's been a lot of talent on display here. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of skill to go flat out in a car and bring it home after 2 hours and 25 minutes of straight racing and beyond. Now coming across the line to round out the podium in the hypercar category. He's got one more corner left to go. Mark Santos will go ahead and take P3 here on track. It's another podium there for the Swissman. And now the last car, actually we're about to see, I believe, we're about to see the GT3 cars get close to taking that checkered flag as well. It's not too much longer now. But once again, your finishing positions for the hypercar category are Mikhail Frokov, Antoine Ponsin, Mark Santos, and Antonio Mendoza. And then our DNFs were Jacob Kuban, Daniel Krebs, Jonah DeLucia, Lucas Nielsen, and Marco Pavona. And then now he's only got a few more corners left to navigate himself. As we take a quick look at the Cadillac to see where he's at. Currently on the backstretch. But now coming across the line to take a win here and extend his championship lead and doing a little dance in the process. Nico Perez will win once again in the LMGT3 category here at Le Mans Ultimate. Philip Smolka is going to be a few seconds behind now, 20-some seconds behind. It'll be about, actually I think, yeah, it's going to be about 20 seconds of a difference between the two. As we see, he's got one more chicane left to navigate. And then Philip Smolka will come home to finish off the grid here in LMGT3, the second survivor here. He was a commentator here last time around, and now he's on the second step of the podium. And then Antonio Mendoza is the last driver that is going to cross the line here. He will finish in 4th place for Cadillac. They'll bring home some solid points to the American manufacturer. And now he's coming across the line, and that is the final driver. Antonio Mendoza will take the checkered flag in P4. Well, that was a fantastic race, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in a little over an hour time. We have our F1 Group 1 division